Bill, on the defense, you mentioned maybe simplifying things from the coaching standpoint. Were there communication issues, especially in the secondary with some of their wide open receivers? And along those lines, John Butler's taken a lot of heat this week. I'm just wondering, this is his first year as a defensive coordinator. How is that process going? What's the learning process for him to simplify things so that the message gets across?
Well, first of all, I think anytime you give up yardage like that and points like that, there are some communication issues, and so you're right, Corey. You know, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Let's say, and there's some things that our players need to do better. You know, they have to study film better and work harder at what those communication issues might be, like simplify how you communicate. And you know, but number one deal is we've got to coach better. Now, as far as John Butler taking heat, I don't know from who, but John Butler is a hell of a football coach. John Butler is our defensive coordinator, works his tail off. The kids respect him. He's doing a hell of a job. I don't care what the scoreboard says or what the yardage says. This guy is our defensive coordinator. He's my defensive coordinator. I'm proud to coach with him. And, you know, look, at the end of the day, it wasn't a great team effort. We didn't do anything on offense to help the defense either. You know, we scored 14 points, got down 21-0. We couldn't even score a touchdown. So it's a team effort. And, you know, if anybody should take heat, it's Bill O'Brien, not John Butler. So I don't know where that's coming from, but hopefully that'll get squelched. That's a bunch of crap that he's taking heat.
Bill, Nate Shieldhouse, another one of those quarterbacks. He's having a great year this year as a quarterback guy. Can you talk about what you see in him? And, you know, he can do a little bit of run. He can run a little bit. He can throw it.
You know, I put him in this category of a lot of these guys that, you know, last year was my first year in the league, and these guys that are really improved players. Nate is one of those guys. He's a guy that has improved his throwing ability. He's got better command of the offense. It's a different, you know, it's Billy Cubitt now running the offense, and he's doing a great job with Coach Cubitt's offense. And he's just, you know, he's second year in Coach Beckman's program and things like that. So he's a much improved player, and he's a guy that's a big challenge for us on Saturday.
Bill, you talked a little bit after the game about how Allen Robinson didn't quit, and do you think, at least in part, that's a product of how naturally competitive he is?
I think we've got a lot of guys like that. You know, I think that Allen's a great example of that, because I watch him in practice every day, and he shows up every single day, and he's one of our best competitors. You know, he wants to go against Jordan Lucas every day, you know, that type of deal, one-on-ones and things like that, and he tries to get better every single day, and that's what makes him the player that he is. And but again, I think we've got a lot of guys like that. You know, I didn't look out on that field, or did I didn't watch the tape on Sunday and see, you know, a bunch of guys that you know, threw in the white towel. I thought we had a bunch of guys really competing, trying to play, and it just didn't work out very well for us. And you know, come back to work today and ready to go. I mean, yesterday, and they're ready to go. So we got a lot of competitive kids.
Bill, you utilize the tight ends like you envisioned at the beginning of the year?
I have, you know, Willie. You know, we threw the ball to the tight ends, I think 9 times on Saturday, 8 or 9 times on Saturday, and you know, we didn't connect. Whether it was a drop or a bad throw, or maybe not the greatest route in the world. So, you know, maybe it's coaching. Maybe we got to put them in a little bit better position. But you know, I've played the tight ends. Very similar. Maybe that's part of it. You know, maybe we're doing some things that we need to change up a little bit too. But you know, I think again it comes down to coaching and doing a better job. But again, you know, when the ball's thrown to you, you got to catch it. I think these guys know that. But I don't think we've underutilized the tight ends. I think we've you know, used them the same, and you know, as far as amount of reps, we've used them the same.
Coach, since you've been here, you've only lost back-to-back games one time, and that was your first 2 games. Just what do you think allows you as a coach to bounce back so well, as well as your players?
Well, we talk to our guys all the time about 12 one-game seasons, you know, and so we try to separate it that way, and so we go week to week, and we try to make sure that the kids understand, okay, on Monday when they come in, let's review some of the tape from the previous Saturday game, but also, boom, that game's over as soon as we're done, and we focus on the task at hand. So I think, you know, the kids you have to give them a lot of credit when it comes to those things, and I think our coaching staff does a good job of separating each game's very, very, very different. And you got to get focused on the next game.
Bill, I wanted to ask about Jevin Stone, just your thoughts on the job that he does. And I know his background, coming from the NFL, with you having the same background, I mean, what kind of advantage is that for a guy, I mean, specifically where he came from, I mean, with that guy who's now kind of running things in Denver, working with him in Indianapolis.
Yeah, Jevin does a good job. He's got a big job, because video is very important to us. So he's got a big job in the fact that, every single day that's our main teaching tool, the ability to go in there and watch film. And so he's got a good staff underneath him that work very well with him. He's got undergraduate students. He's got Blake, his assistant, that they work well together. So, he's got some help there, but overall, Jevin does a good job.
Coach, you talked earlier about talking to the defensive staff and simplifying things. I'm just curious, you're the offensive coordinator, also the head coach. How often do you meet with the defensive staff, and what's your relationship like with that side, and especially to John Butler? And do you talk in-game about making adjustments?
Yeah, no, yes. I meet with him every single day, 7 days a week, 2 or 3 times a day, and we're in constant communication during the game. You have a headset on that can switch over between offense, defense, and that's what you have, and so we communicate all the time.
Bill, you said a little bit earlier about Daquan Jones. It looked like his shoulder is kind of heavily wrapped last week. Is he okay?
Yeah, the shoulder strain, Audrey. I think he's another guy. There's a lot of guys like this that are Mike Hall, that are playing with some injuries and playing through it. And I think Daquan had a shoulder strain, got a back issue. So he's playing through it. Very, very, very good player and very tough kid.
Okay, and going along with that, what have you seen from the young guys on the interior as far as Bob Litz, Austin Johnson? How have they been able to come along?
Right, well, Bob Litz isn't a young guy.
Well, right, but
Right,
Johnson behind him.
Yeah, Bob Litz has played tough, and he's done a decent job this year. And Austin Johnson, I think, is a much improved player. I think he's played pretty well. I thought on Saturday he made some plays. Got blocked a few times, like a lot of guys did, but I thought he made some plays in there, and I think he's got a really bright future here.
Bill, go ahead, man.
He's definitely deferring to you now.
Thank you, Travis.
Hang on.
There's been a little bit of a pattern through 2 open dates of how you guys have responded to those. Can you put your finger on what you have or haven't done that you want to try to correct?
Yeah, I think that's probably more of an off-season study. I believe that we've had 2 good practice weeks during those bye weeks. But obviously that didn't translate into playing well. So I think when the season's over, we've got to sit down and research what we did there. Maybe ask around as far as what other people do. But I think we got to look at that deal. You probably got a point there, but now's not the time to look at that.
Also, do you feel some rivalry was built in that game? There were some things that could be perceived as a little questionable once they pretty much had you beat. And I'm just wondering, because of the sanctions, do you think that in-conference people should have more consideration, or is all fair and love in football and college bowls and more?
Yeah, I don't think, I think at the end of the day, in order to have a rivalry, you have to win. And so we've lost 2 years in a row to them, so, I think they have one rival, Michigan, and that's the way it goes.